we are not the best person to actually share what the World Cup entrepreneur or the Entrepreneur World Cup is about, right? So without further ado, let us welcome Mr. Jaron, the Managing Director from Global Entrepreneurship Network Singapore and the main organizer for this year's event, to share with us about the World Cup. Mr. Teo, please.
Thank you, distinguished guests. Thank you, Ms. Soon, for taking time. Thank you, our valued partners and investors, and also all attendees here today. Today is not about me. Today is about startups who are presenting, because they will be representing Singapore on the global stage, right? And just give you some background story about what Gen is all about and how Entrepreneurship World Cup came to Singapore. A story started back then when I was still 16 years old. Started out my first company doing designing and printing. So I was volunteering for Global Entrepreneurship Week, one of Gen's program in the year 2013. That was then still with our valued partner ACE. I think they're here today. And it was through the voluntary program, I was setting up a booth there. And one of the judges of a similar program like this came by to the booth. And hey, would you like to do a project with us? And that partner is actually Bosch. So they become our first MNC customer. And since then, the business has grown. So I thank all that to volunteering, because I never know what actually happens or what comes by after. I generally just want to help and serve the community, to help every individual here, every entrepreneur, young people, to have an opportunity to do business, not just locally, but globally. Fast forward today, since 2018, we have been running as a Gen chapter, working with various partners, including Enterprise Singapore, ACE, and this year, we're so happy to have Safra as our key partner to run Entrepreneurship World Cup. Entrepreneurship World Cup is the 4th year, and this year, we are the first in 190 over countries around the world. So today, we're actually on live stream across 190 countries because we are the first country to begin our national finals, right? Okay, so all the startups, do your best, all the best to your ventures, and let's begin.
Thank you so much, Mr. Teo. Next, let's invite Mr. Jovan Tan, chairman of Safra Entrepreneurs Club, who is actively involved in the entrepreneur scene in Singapore, to share with us his opening speech for the event. Mr. Tan, please.
Thank you again. So unlike Jaron, I don't speak off the cuff because I am here to represent Safra. So I need something more proper. Oh, let me take off my mask first. Okay. So, Ms. Sun Xueling, Minister of State for the Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of Social and Family Development. Mr. Jaron Teo, Managing Director of Gen Singapore, fellow entrepreneurs, investors, judges, Safra colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First, a very warm welcome to Safra Mount Faber. It's the same Safra you are all very familiar with. It's the same Safra which in the last 50 years remains very committed to strengthening bonds among our SAF national servicemen through our network of clubs and activities, as we appreciate their contribution to our nation's defense. Back in 2011, Safra holistically reviewed our members' profile. We found that many of them, especially the older ones, which some of them are here today, are your tauke's. And the younger ones, like your full-time NSFs, are aspiring entrepreneurs. These members told us that they desire a closely knitted community of Singaporean sons who not only share a common identity of serving NS together, but also share the same career interests and mutually want to support each other in their endeavors. That led us to create a for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs community called the Safra Entrepreneurs Club, or SEC for short. Since then, SEC has grown exponentially, and we have delivered a tremendous positive impact on our community. We are focused on empowering our members with the knowledge, skill set, and connections to succeed as entrepreneurs and as Singapore's pride. We organize activities like seminars and masterclasses for our members to learn. We also introduce networking events and company visits for our members to connect and interact with industry veterans and the wider community. In 2017, we took it a step further with the inauguration of the Safra Entrepreneurs Marketplace. where we created a platform for our members to roll up their sleeves and hustle in a low-risk environment before deciding if they want to become an entrepreneur. The altruistic mission of the marketplace was exceptionally well received. By 2019, the marketplace had become an annual flagship SAFRA community event, and likely the SAFRA Entrepreneurs Marketplace will return towards the end of 2022 in conjunction with the Global Entrepreneurs Week. Collectively, these activities benefited more than 1,000 SAFRA members every single year. While we have dabbled across many different types of activities, including virtual, because unfortunately due to the pandemic, we have never actually organized a national level business idea and pitching competition before. My fellow SEC committee members and I have always thought of organizing one because it shares the same mantra and notion as our flagship marketplace, where we aim to provide a low-risk learning opportunity for our members who may be interested to become entrepreneurs at some point in their career. So one fine day, Jaren and I spoke about the idea of having SEC and Gen Singapore coming together to co-organize and host the 4th Entrepreneurs World Cup National Finals. As soon as we are done with that very conversation, we decided to do it. It was game on. And fast forward several months later, today, with the relentless effort of the SAFRA and the Gen team, Cindy, Mei, Jingxing, Yue and Ken, here we are, the very first ever national level business idea and pitching competition held in and co-organized by SAFRA. This is a significant milestone for the SAFRA Entrepreneurs Club, and we appreciate Jaren and his team for the invitation to co-host the 4th Entrepreneurs World Cup National Finals together. This will definitely not be the last time we are working together. I'm watching you. We hope to organize more activities and events for the SAFRA community and the broader entrepreneurship community in Singapore. So with that, I thank you all for spending your precious time with us today, and I wish all our participants all the best for your pitching later. Thank you.
Hello, mic test. Thank you, Mr. Teo. All right, that's a 4-pager. Mr. Tan, sorry. Mr. Tan, yeah. He was telling me, he was sharing with me that he had a 4-pager. I was looking at him. You sure 5 minutes enough or not? Yeah, okay. So next up, we all know that we have amongst our presence, all right, Ms. Sun Xueling, Minister of State for Home Affairs and Social and Family Development, with us for the event. So let us now put our hands together. She has always been our constant supporter for Entrepreneurship World Cup, right? Yes. And she was also the guest of honor as well for last year's competition.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind remarks. Thank you for inviting me to join you at this platform this Tuesday afternoon. Just now, I was just thinking, when Jovan was speaking, Jovan Tan, Jaren Teo is like JT, the initials, the two of you are good brothers. And I look forward to your collaboration for many, many years to come. It is indeed my pleasure to be here today for the Entrepreneurship World Cup Singapore's MOU signing and award ceremony. This is the 4th year that the Entrepreneurship World Cup, EWC, is organized by Global Entrepreneurship Network Singapore, Gen Singapore. I had the pleasure of joining last year's event. It was a hybrid format. I remember that I joined online, and I remember that there was this huge projector, and I looked remarkably huge with my face on the projector. So I'm very happy that today I'm able to join in person, because it's so much more how should I put it, so much more interactive, to be able to see everyone and to also sense the energy, and of course to see the collaborative efforts between young persons and clubs. So great effort, Jaren and Jovan. I would also like to mention that, I have the pleasure of working with Jaren for the past 2 years. He wasn't kidding when he was talking about volunteering. He has been very, very active across various youth clubs and entrepreneurship activities all around Singapore. Jaren has also represented us overseas before as well. So great work, Jaren. I look forward to many more youth-related courses that you and your team drive. So just now, as mentioned, as one of the largest pitch competitions and entrepreneurship programs in the world, Gen brings together startups from around the world to provide inclusive capacity building, opportunities in areas of entrepreneurship, ecosystem sustainability, and emerging skills for youth. And this includes those with disabilities as well as youths at risk. I'd like to thank Jeng Singapore for organizing the Singapore leg of the EWC and for your efforts in promoting the entrepreneurial mindset amongst young aspiring Singaporeans. I think we all know that we are always encouraging our young people to think global, to develop skill sets that will enable them to tackle challenges all across the world, and for them to be able to execute on their ideas and to build an inclusive ecosystem where everyone can be empowered to start and scale a business. Now, we know that for many young people nowadays, successful business startups and enterprises are not just about generating profits, but also about seeking ways to do good for the society. Because many youths talk about wanting to create a positive impact on the environment and society. This drives many young people today to ideate together, to co-create together, to come up with solutions for pain points or problems that they see around them. And of course, to pursue their passion in many different areas. And it's because of common interest in solving common pain points and for causes that they believe in that youth identify with each other and come together to co-create ideas. And in that process, business ideas come together and they come up. And I think that's what's so interesting and so meaningful, because it is first that passion around causes that you believe in that first starts that process. But along that process, business ideas come about. And when those ideas come about and you execute them, they allow the idea to be sustained and of course, to be scalable and to bring greater good to society. So this is extremely, extremely heartening, and it's definitely something that myself and the government strongly advocates and hopes to encourage. So amongst a total of 109 startups this year, the top 11 finalists will be pitching today, and I'm sure they were all looking forward to it. And I'm pleased to learn that our participants in the EWC, including finalists from this year's EW Singapore, have done so in their respective ventures. I'll now like to name a few examples. Mr. Jiong Lee, is he with us? Hi, Jiong, hi. Thank you for co-founding Nurture, which makes a difference in the lives of international nurses and the global nursing ecosystem. I think we're all aware that the pandemic has shown us that healthcare workers shortage is a global problem. So with Nurture under Mr. Jiong Lee, they aim to develop a proprietary test-based learning tool that ensures consistent quality of global nurses in Singapore. Thank you very much for this initiative, Mr. Jiong Lee. Let's give him a warm round of applause. Next, I'd like to mention Ms. Pek Yuning. Yuning? Yes, hi dear. Thank you for starting SGP Foods. Should I pronounce it as SGP or Singapore Foods? Both are great, is it? Okay, double the branding. SGP Foods, a technology company that focuses on developing innovative food and climate solutions. And their food solutions include indoor and outdoor farming and the cultivation and extraction of plant-based proteins and fibers. And their technology is able to facilitate the monitoring and reporting and sequester gigatons of carbon from the atmosphere. Let me redo that again because it is so sophisticated. I'm tripping over the words. Let me try that. So Singapore Foods, SGP Foods, their technology is able to facilitate the monitoring and reporting and sequester gigatons of carbon from the atmosphere. Thank you. I'm also heartened to hear that Miss Ling Fengru, is she here with us? Fengru? She's in the US. Okay, let's talk about what she has co-founded. Turtle Tree Labs, a food technology startup from Singapore. I think many of us have heard about this before. She emerged as a global champion for EWC 2020 with her venture of pioneering a new way to make cell-based milk and dairy production more sustainable and reduce the carbon footprint of the milk industry. And since then, her company has raised more than $40 million and expanded to the US. And that's why I think she's in the US today, right? And we send her our best wishes. So these are just some of the examples I have learned about sustainable ideas for the betterment of our society. And very importantly, this is catalyzing more discussions, more conversations, bringing together like-minded people and ideas to execute them and bring greater good to society. And I wish all our entrepreneurs all the very best and a success in your ventures. And now I'd like to talk about what SAFRA is doing. Just now, Jovan had talked about the SAFRA Entrepreneurs Club. So this was actually part of the recommendations arising from the SAFRA strategic review in 2011, and Safra would be further enhancing your offerings to address the career and wealth building needs of the NS men by positioning yourself as an enabler for NS men's aspirations through the formation of an entrepreneurs club. So the Safra Entrepreneurs Club Committee, they are being led by a group of entrepreneurs, many who are current or former NS men. They will drive, oversee, and coordinate the development of new initiatives targeting young NS men, including organizing various youth-related activities, youth networking, as well as management of youth volunteers. So in essence, the Safra Entrepreneurs Club is an interest group within Safra where you can find other young budding entrepreneurs to network with and gain valuable insights from. So one of the SEC members, Mr. Clarence Tan, is Mr. Clarence Tan here? Okay, no problems. Let's talk about what he has done. He started his own robotics supply business since 2003, and he has also been active in his family's hotel and restaurant equipment business. Interesting point. He was an army mechanic during his NS time, and this he credits helped his classic car hobbies. So since he finished his army service, he has been serving at Safra as a volunteer since 2018. So later, we'll be witnessing the MOU signing between Gen Singapore and Safra Entrepreneurs Club. I think we all hope that with this partnership, students in Gen Singapore's partner organizations can look forward to more upskilling opportunities, and more entrepreneurial youths can also be empowered to gain access to EWC networks and participate in global programs. In closing, I'd like to wish all our startups and participants all the best for today. I look eagerly forward to seeing our startups blossom, grow, and rise to greater heights in the international environment. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sun, for that very inspiring speech. Next, we'll be having the signing ceremony by Gen Singapore Limited board members and a memorandum of understanding signing ceremony between Gen Singapore and Safra Entrepreneurs Club. Let us invite the Gen Singapore Limited board members up on stage.
All right. Thank you, board members. Miss Sun.
I'd like
Miss
to
Sun,
also
can you
mention
stay
we
on the
do have
stage?
our female board member, Dr. Lilian Koh. Unfortunately, she has an urgent meeting to run to. She'll be joining us shortly at 3 p.m.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, board members. Miss Sun, can you please stay on the stage? Next up, let us invite Mr. Jaren Teo. Sorry, Jaren. Jaren, yes, Jaren. All right. And Mr. Jovan Tan, chairman for Safra Entrepreneur Club. I don't know, they don't look alike, but I keep mixing them up. I have no idea. Maybe it's a JT thing, right? Yeah. All right, wonderful. Okay, so actually, Mr. Jaren has some surprise. All right, Mr. Jaren, can you please stay on the stage as well? Miss Sun, also please stay on the stage. There is a gift. There's something for you by Mr. Jaren.
We're thankful for Creative for the sponsorship.
All right, next up, there's also a token of appreciation for Jovan. Yes, you again. Right, shall we give them a round of applause? Okay, thank you everyone, and thank you Miss Sun for witnessing both the ceremonies, and thank you Jaren and Jovan as well. Now let us start the World Cup. Today we have 11 teams that will be doing their pitching here today. There are 2 teams that will be pitching on idea stage, 6 teams from early stage, and 3 teams will be pitching on the growth stage. Now each group of the finalists will have 3 minutes of pitching and 2 minutes of Q&A from the judges, or rather we call it the sharks. Now, judging criteria will be based on product potential, predictability, which is also their business model, and people. Now we will keep track of the timing, and if you see at the side here, we have a bell. The bell is not for Santa Claus, all right? The bell is to let, yes, that's the bell, right? The bell is to let the teachers know that times is going to be up soon. Now we will ring once at the 2-minute mark and ring again at the end of 3 minutes. We will also ring at the last 30 seconds of the Q&A session and end at the end of each presentation. So there'll be a total of 4 rings. So without further ado, first let us welcome. No, before we start, I just hope that everyone please be reminded that this is a mask on event. So please keep your mask on at all times, and also do silence your phone, and let's not interrupt the teachers, and hope that they will be able to get what they want, right? Now, first let us welcome from Idea Stage up here. Let's have Nurture, Team Nurture. Judges. Oh yes, sorry. The most important part. Okay, can we welcome the judges? Can we please invite the judges to your seats?
Okay, we will now take a group photo with the judges and the participants. So if you could invite the participants up to take a group photo with the judges, please. Miss Sun as well, please. Thank you. Thank you so much, judges, participants, and Miss Sun. Unfortunately, Miss Sun has to leave due to other commitments, so let us all give her another round of applause as we send her off. Now let us invite Nurture up on the stage for their pitch.
I guess it doesn't start yet, right? Let me test first. Sure, sure. Yeah, there you go. Yep, it does work. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm John from Nurture. Basically, we are a startup that wants to address the issues of global nursing shortage by looking at the international nursing community. So we looked at the problem in 2 sort of ways. The short-term problem, which is in 2030. As you can see, the global nursing shortage will be a bit of a 13 million shortage globally. And 1 out of 6 current nurses will be retiring by that age. And of course, as we all know, with the nursing shortage, there'll be a higher case of morbidity and of course, higher mortality rates because nurses do take care of the patients. But how about now in 2022? Is there a problem? Definitely. Okay, hold on. Yeah, in 2022, this year, in the US alone, there's a global shortage. The US alone, there's a shortage of 1.1 million nurses in the US alone. So US as a community, as a country, they're trying to address this problem immediately. Okay, what happened? And of course, because of COVID, as you can see, a lot of nurses actually has the highest mortality rates among the healthcare community, unfortunately. And also during the COVID situation, people have learned that nurses have to be trained better and has needed more skills to get better. Now, when you look at it, there's actually in terms of the pay scale, nurses actually benefited a lot from COVID in terms of pay scale. In the past 12 months, they've actually had the pay scale go up to 55%. But the problem with this challenge is that the nursing professionals actually cover 60% of the healthcare population. So meaning to say, higher the cost of nursing naturally will lead to higher the cost of healthcare. Okay, what's happening? I guess this is the problem with being the first. Okay, all right, we're okay here. So as you may all be aware, Philippines is actually the #1 provider of global nurses internationally. But currently, during COVID situation, unfortunately, Philippines has faced a problem of actually a lot of nursing students and nurses going into the BPO industry due to the fact that opportunity to go abroad has definitely decreased, and also because of the risk that they want to take in the nursing jobs locally. And the problem with that is because of their lack of experience during this past 2 years during COVID, the opportunity to move abroad has definitely lessened because a lot of the international markets require at least 2 to 3 years of work experience. So for this, we actually came up with 2 product ideas, which is called Nurture and Clex, which is actually a board exam review that's looking at international nurses going into the US. So this applies to also for US educated nurses, as well as international nurses. The second is actually what we call Nightingale Community. This is where we want to bring all the international nursing community into a single platform so we could discuss the opportunity as well as challenges faced to address the global nursing challenges. I have to go real fast. Okay, solution 1. Why do I say Nurture and Clex, which is focused in the US to address the global demand?
Unfortunately, we have to end the pitch here as your 3 minutes is up.
Yeah, but I lost so much time in these technicalities. Yeah, so basically why we're looking at the US market exam is simple, because all the nurses, international nurses, the core market that they want to go into is actually the US. So for us, launching this product will bring every nurses into this community, but having said that, when you capture them, we can actually talk to them about more of opportunity in different markets, such as Singapore, Middle East, which are not the top priority markets for the international nurses. But having said that, the global search on nursing shortage is actually an issue being faced by every country. So hence, we're looking at this, of course, the supply markets of international nurses, #1 is Philippines, India, Puerto Rico, and Kenya. Okay, I'm just.
Yes. Sorry about that, but we have to come to the end of this. But we will now open the floor to the judges for the 2-minute Q&A session.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a minute to ask. Short. Oh, sorry.
Okay, my first question is that I'm trying to understand who is your customer, because for any business you have a customer, but you're talking about nursing market. You are trying to serve the nurses.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Our core customer actually in the market is the international nurses who wants to go abroad to find an opportunity. That's our
Okay.
core customer.
So you're not talking about nursing market where the people need nurses.
So no, if you look at my revenue model, Nurture and Click is our revenue journey material, which actually charges them a subscription fee for the review materials. So we're going to get them as a customer. That's our first revenue model.
I understand. So basically when you talk about nursing market is so big, it's irrelevant because you're just serving the nurses, whoever want to be a nurse, and that is a market.
Who wants to go abroad? Yes, that's a market.
Okay,
and
so it's not about nursing market that you're talking about the world need, how many nurses is irrelevant.
It
That's what
is
I'm saying.
relevant if I had the chance to go through, because after which, because like Singapore, US, they all require nurses, and our platform of Nightingale will address the issue of placing them to the right market accordingly.
want to know what's the current competitive landscape like. So currently, what are what your potential customers? So what are they using to address the problem and also addressing their needs?
Excellent. The current actually competitive market, actually we're competing against the traditional sources such as the placement agencies. So in the Philippines, there's a lot of placement agencies who get RFP from US hospitals as well as Singapore to place these nurses globally. So we're competing against them because Nightingale, our community platform, will address those challenges, linking up a platform like HackerTrail or LinkedIn type, or we could actually link this to. Finish? Yeah.
So to add on, just to get it right, so the product will be one part of it is training and education, and the other part is actually a global placement of nurses.
Yes, it's like a HackerTrail where we mentor them and guide them through their career in terms of
Okay.
their international nursing careers. Yes.
All right.
Correct.
So the revenue model will actually come from the nurses, like for through their training and.
And the other one will be from the employer side.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
All right.
Very much to the judges and to Nurture. Let us introduce the next team, which is Refresh from the idea stage up on the stage. Thank you.
Stop. Hello, hello. Okay, this is not helping her calm her nerves. So can we give her a round of applause one more time? Right. So sorry for the technical hiccup. You ready?
Yep, let's go. Hi, my name is Grace, and I'm the founder of Refresh. We're advocates of modernizing the agri-industry by lowering the barriers to high-tech agriculture, enhancing social mobility, sustainability, and increasing ASEAN's food security. We have identified a gap in the current market made of underserved smallholder farmers with many troubles stacked against them in the face of inequitable access to financing, technology, and market access. With a third of ASEAN's food production coming from smallholders, their demise would risk billions in economic costs and the region's food security. Our solution is an end-to-end model, one of the first in the region, which allows unbankable smallholders to access our in-house developed suite of technology and supply chain services, and to easily enter the industry without high capex payments via our leasing and buyback models. Right now, many smallholders and aspiring agripreneurs are discouraged due to a lack of resources and current capacity. Smallholders who join our community would receive the facilities, tech, and support they require without any upfront cost. Their access to our state-of-the-art farm-as-a-service facilities, digitization, and tech helps them increase productivity and yield. Our AI technology will also increase consistency and predictability. For the purpose of consolidation and fulfillment. Upon their harvest, our fulfillment arm will buy back the crops from them. We will then pay them the shares of the revenue while we keep our share of our revenue for our equipment and services. Thereafter, we will consolidate similar crops from multiple smallholders and provide supply chain and fulfillment services to match fresh harvest to retail buyers. Our app and systems aggregate an array of tech solutions into a single convenient app, easily usable and attractive to farmers. With the data collected by us, coupled by the input by other farmers in our community, our AI would be able to automate on-ground systems to correct for environmental deficits and better predict harvest quality and quantity. Now is the right time to anymore. The Distributed Data Farm Network, DDFN, allows for network farmers to input critical data so that our system can be highlighted on any real-time information that is missed by sensors and alert our network farmers in the region. Now is the right time to impact over 100 million smallholders with a market worth $212 billion in size. We are confident of capturing at least 5% of the regional agri-smallholders market. We expect to be able to rapidly expand our offerings to major regions in the world within 5 years and attain a 10% share of the agri-smallholders market. Our young startup has already been selected to be part of many highly selected incubators and accelerators with achievements from the Alibaba Cloud Demo Day, amongst others. We are currently test bidding our tech in Singapore before setting our sights further in the region. Together with my team of specialists in your respective fields, we look forward to working with you to bettering the life.
All right, time's up. Good job, nice.
Thank you.
All right, so now we shall open up to the Q&A by the panel of judges. Right, so we have 2 minutes for that. Judges, please.
You mentioned about the problem. Can you go back to the first slides? Jump straight to the first slide. Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, sorry, second slide then. Yeah. It's a working 90% constraint with the working capital issues.
Correct.
That's what you're saying. What
Yes.
were they used for their working capital?
Currently?
What are they going to use for their working capital?
Okay, so currently it's mostly about paying the labor as well. So yeah, so if we implement our technology, then the labor will be a lot cut down by a lot, and also other
So,
working
I'm
capital
trying to understand
issues.
the working capital you use it to buy what?
They're using it to buy inputs like fertilizers and all that. But our technology will reduce the need for fertilizers. Oh, and also there's case of pests, so they need to buy insecticides, herbicides.
So the
So
solution, how does it? They still don't have the money.
no, we just give them the technology, our tech, like the equipment.
So you're going to give them the technology for free?
Not for free, or we lease it to them.
So you lease it to them?
Yes.
So they take it a loan.
Yes, take it as a
So are
loan.
they able to take loan because that they have working capital issues?
Why don't we actually use loans? Because firstly, they are unbankable and we do not have any track records of them. So financial institutions are not very willing to give them loans. Yeah. So we give them tech instead.
Another question is that, are you going direct to the farmers or you are going through the distributors of inputs?
We're going through NGOs direct to the farmers.
Right, we are so sorry because the time is up. So thank you so much. All right, so that concludes the idea stage. Next, let's welcome the team from the growth stage. We have first Sachi. Are you here?
Hello. Okay, everything okay? Ready? It's really, it's not working, man. Oh, really? They help us? Okay, that's great, man. Pom pom. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Jonathan, and I'm from Sachi. Today, I'm here to share our mission of drinking to a more sustainable future. Next, please. So, how many of you know about soy whey? A show of hands. Okay, a few, I see, right? So what is soy whey? Soy whey is basically the liquid byproduct of tofu manufacturing or beancurd manufacturing. But did you know that millions of tons of soy whey is being disposed every single year globally? And improper disposal of soy whey actually concludes a lot of environmental degradation, including algae blooms in water bodies. That's why tofu manufacturers in Singapore have to pay anywhere from $3,000 to $12,000 every single month to treat the water before disposal. This is further aggravated by the fact that there's limited to no commercial value for soy whey, and that's why they have to throw away tons of it daily. Next, please. Next, please. Next, right. And that is until 5 years ago, we found a solution for it. And we had a patented technology that allows the biotransformation of soy whey into soy alcoholic beverages. So it's a low cost, zero waste method of producing value-added products that may be of higher value than tofu itself. Next, please. And introducing Sachi. So Sachi is the world's first soy whey-based alcoholic brand. And we actually design products that are catered towards the modern casual drinkers. So this is a good segue for me to serve some of our wines, but unfortunately we can't have it in this room today, but you can have it later. Yeah, so the wine that we designed is very easy to drink. It's 5.8 alcohol by volume, and it's super smooth. It's also low in calories, only 70 calories per serving, which is half that of any grape wine variety. And for all of us out there who want to look fit, look better, and be more beautiful, I think this is really the drink for us modern drinkers. It's also high in antioxidants called isoflavones, and it's sustainable because it contains 90% of recycled soy whey as its raw materials. Next, please. So with working with soy whey and our technology, we realized the versatility of it. And we've been able to produce different kinds of alcoholic beverages, including whiskeys, gins, baijiu, liquors, and the likes. So imagine this, a world where we don't have to grow grapes to make wine anymore. We have to grow wheat to make whiskeys anymore. You can make your tofu, and by the way, we'll take all that soy whey and produce 9 other types of alcoholic beverages in one facility. So that's why we are here with the mission to drink towards a more sustainable future with this. Next, please. Next, please. Previous? Okay, cool. Yeah. So our business plan is really simple. For Sachi, we want it to be selling in Singapore and Southeast Asia only because it's alcoholic is really a cultural-driven category, and we'll focus on building local brands in North America, China, and Australia.
I'm so sorry, but we have to come to the end of this pitch.
Cool.
We need
Yeah.
to move
Anyways,
on
this
to
is the
the
last
Q&A session now.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you could go to the next slide, there's a QR code. So if you're interested, please feel free to check us out. Yeah, and we welcome any questions right now.
Can you share a little bit about who your core target audience is and traction to date?
Okay, cool. So core target audience, right? I think currently for our product, our core target audience are really modern drinkers. So anyone, most probably millennials and Gen Zs, but also people that are casual drinkers. So casual drinkers meaning they drink casually or for social events only. So one or twice monthly, and there are about 70% of the market is people like that. So that's really the market that we're targeting. But on the so we're doing direct to consumer, that's one end, D2C. We are also doing B2B2C. So we're also targeting hotels, restaurants, pubs and bars, and we've been gaining quite significant traction. We have started only 8 months ago, and we are in about 90% of the online platforms that we have: Shopee, Lazada, Redmart, NTUC Online, Bob's Grocer, you name it, we are on it. On the other hand, for the B2B2C side, we are in a number of hotels as well, and we are at Timber Plazas, Dempsey Project, some of the Cure Group restaurants as well, Butcher Boy. So we're in about 25 different restaurants and bars as well. And yeah, we've been growing quite readily over the past few months.
Yeah, I have a question because there's a lot of alcohol brands or types on the
Definitely.
market. So that makes this market very competitive, especially for new brand. So through what kind of ways or branding or value proposition are you going to stand out from the rest and make the business grow?
That's
Yeah.
a really great question. So I think what is basis on the brand, right, is really on sustainability. I think there are 3 big trends in the alcoholic beverage market right now. First is sustainability. Second is premiumization, so premiumization of products. And the last one is really wellness. So we look at it as performing these 3 with our product. So for wellness, we have low calories and high antioxidants. Can we finish this or?
One more sentence.
Yeah. So that's for wellness. We are also premium. We're selling each bottle at really premium places that you're able to enjoy it at.
Okay, sorry, that
the
we have
last-
to end it here. Thank
Okay,
you.
cool. That's my sentence. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sachi. We will now be moving on to the next team, which is Neom Peptides. Can we please welcome them from the early stage up here? Let us put our hands together and welcome them.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Clement. I'm from Neon Peptides. We are a peptide. Our company use peptide-based technologies for diagnostic testing. Okay, actually, next. Yeah, actually, we are headquartered in Singapore. We have a global team in Hong Kong, and also in India. And actually, we have successful products in our COVID testing called TrueCove, whereby you use breath or saliva, and the result can be out in like 15 to 30 seconds. And now we are developing a diagnostic test that uses is also for heart attack. Yeah. Next, So this slide for how our peptide works. Actually, we use peptides. We conjugate with gold nanoparticles, and without binding, it's actually red in color. And we use peptides to bind directly to the specific target of interest, which in this case is a spike protein of the COVID-19. And when it binds to the COVID virus, it becomes purple and turns color, and there's the color change. So how is it different from the existing ART test kits? ART test kit, they use antibodies and it's so much bigger in size, and there's higher manufacturing costs and it's less sensitive. The advantage using small peptides is that more of it can bind to a single molecules, and it's more sensitive, and it's also cheaper to manufacture. Oops. Yeah, so these are products that we have, our existing products. So we have a TrueCove Flow, which is we use saliva to test the COVID-19. We use breath, and we have TrueCove Air that will detect the environment in an enclosed area. And also now we are doing the TrueHeart diagnostic testing for cardiac testing. And how it works, right, is we use a finger prick, we put into the buffer, and we put it on a strip whereby you test for 6 biomarkers. And after you insert a device, they'll detect the color change. Yeah. So it's okay. So actually, now heart attack now is the world #1 killer in the world, and it's in the rising trend. And also, what our product will fill in the need for whereby you help the patient to receive medical attention as early as possible. And even because right now the current lab test, it takes up to 3 to 6 hours. And even the other test, it may take up to 1 hour. Yeah. Okay, so this is the market size. It's 9.7 billion in 2020, and it's going to 28 billion by 2030. And also if 10%, it's already 970 million. Yeah, so right now in discussion also with A-Star and Heart Center for our development of our TrueHeart products. Yeah, and what we have accomplished. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, unfortunately, we have to end the pitch here, but we can open the floor for Q&A questions by the judges.
Yeah. Thank you. Any questions? Other founders. Yeah, so this yes. You mean it can stay up to 2 years? You mean 2 years? Yeah. Yeah, room temperature. Yeah. It's actually it's like a point of care testing, so we can use it even at homes. It doesn't require a professional like lab personnel to do it. So yeah, so we'll be marketing through like through hospitals, through clinics. Yeah.
So just going through the retail pharmacy for people
Yeah.
who just pick it up.
Yeah, distributors.
Why would anybody want to pick it up? I mean, that's what the marketing. I mean, the product could be good, but does people know that they have a heart issues?
Oh yeah, to the general public as well. So we also educate the importance of to detect as early as possible. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Let us next invite Simply Goods up for their early stage. Let's give them a round of applause, please.
Can we get the slides up? Thanks. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeremy. I'm the founder of Simply Good. Simply Good is essentially a sustainable home care brand. We produce dehydrated cleaning tablets like you have seen in front, in bids to reduce single-use plastics and carbon emissions in the home care FMCG industry. So if you look at the slide, you realize that the FMCG industry, the cleaning industry, is a $235 billion industry. It's a big problem. You see a lot of these bottles on the supermarket shelves. I'm sure some of you have this lying around at your homes, in your cabinets. It's actually incredibly traditionally inefficient and wasteful industry, and not much is being done. What do I mean by that? If you look at a bottle like that, what do you do when you're done with it? You toss it out when you're done. It's a single-use plastic. And within the bottle, it contains 96% water. Why do you have to pay for water you already have at home? Essentially, what you're doing is you're paying for a bottle of water transported to the supermarket shelves and then to your doorsteps. So it's a really inefficient process. And what we do at Simply Good here, we provide you with what's only needed, 4% of the active ingredients. So if you see actually here, what you actually need is a bottle of cleaning bottle that you already have, fill it with water, pop the Simply Good tablet in, it will dissolve and it will make 500 ml cleaning of solution. And that's all you ever needed. So essentially, we're only providing you what you need and what you pay for. And that's what Simply Good is all about. So the FMCG home care industry is actually a very competitive one, right? So what do I mean by that? If you look at the shelves, you see a lot of brands out there. And why is Simply Good different? First, we are more cost efficient. We deliver the product in a 300 times smaller, 200 times lighter form factor, saving on transportations and logistics. Not only that, we save the cost of buying the bottle over again. So as a consumer, you get to reuse that. Essentially, we are more cost effective. And that's not something you hear in the sustainable cleaning industry. Usually when people say they're green, they're sustainable, they're more expensive. And we're doing that by innovating in the form factor. Secondly, all our ingredients are natural, plant-based, safe for family and friends. And last but not least, they are designed for the environment to reduce single-use plastics and carbon emissions. So next, please. Okay, so this is we have just launched last year only. So we're a 1-year-old startup. We sell mainly online and consumer channels. So we have our website, Lazada, Shopee, RedMart, you'll find us there. We sold about 25,000 tablets of this, close to about $200,000 in revenue last year. So we are just starting, we're early. We are also expanding our markets outside of Singapore. So this year, we're actually expanding to Malaysia and ANZ markets that you'll find most of our consumers are. And you'll see that most of our consumers are usually young mothers, home care owners, people that care about the natural market, and also the mass affluent market that we're looking at. So with that, I also like to share with you about my team. So this is me, myself, the founder and CEO. This is actually my second sustainability startup. With me, we have my CMO as well, Vanessa, who has 18 years of marketing experience in the consumer industry. And of course, we have Naichun, our Chief of Formulations, who's heading all our chemistry work. And I think that's time. Just nice. Thank you.
So now we are open up for the Q&A by the panel of judges and also called the sharks.
Hey, buddy. So it's non-toxic, but your packet says do not drink.
Right. So I think it's natural. All plant-based ingredients, you'll find ingredients like sodium carbonate, bicarbonate. But after all, this is a cleaning product. We don't want to encourage the wrong kind of behavior to drink. So that's why, and it's a mandatory warning that we put on for all cleaning labels.
Okay. And so when you ship it out, it comes in these packets.
Exactly. So it comes in a pack of 3. Usually we ship out in a little envelope that is non-plastic, full compostable, and consumers just reuse whatever they have. So it's actually 3 packets last you a year. So it's technically getting a year of cleaning supplies in your meal in envelope.
Okay, very cool. How much do these cost?
$4.99 a packet. It's priced actually the same cost as the cleaning bottle you buy in the NTUC shelves today.
$4.99 a packet. So it's basically 1-for-1 replacement cost lah.
Yes, exactly. And it makes basically a 500 ml bottle of cleaner. And we also have an online subscription model online that drops the price by 20%.
Nice. Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry. So just an add-on to that question, what is that unit economics cost? So what's the cost to actually produce this?
So currently we have cost of goods of at a 20% margin. So gross margin thereafter is to 80%. A lot of where our cost goes to is actually a marketing game. It's a marketing game. So customer acquisition costs, online marketing and whatnot. And by this year, we're bringing our cost of goods down to 10%.
How difficult is for the big guys to replicate you? After all, they already have all the research and capability.
I think the IP here don't lie within the product. In fact, actually, it's brand, the community, the messaging we stand for, the overall experience of what you're doing. In fact, to replicate a product like that, I believe to Unilever and P&G isn't that hard.
All right. Thank
we are on
you
time.
so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and also big thanks to the judges. We have actually 5 more teams, but before that, we are supposed to go for a break, 10 minutes break. But before we go for the break, we would also like to make use of this chance to thank our co-organizer, Safra Entrepreneurs Club, Codesurance and HX, and especially the sponsors, Ziya Asia, Asia Rough, Quest Ventures, Amazon Web Services, X Capital, and Ecom Singapore for the support in this event and making this happen. So now let us take a 10 minutes break, and finalists, please be back by 3:30. What's the time now? 3:30. All right, 10 minutes break. right, welcome back, everyone. Now, let's get back to business, shall we? Let's invite the next group who is from the early stage, SGP Foods. SGP Foods, are you back here? All right. Okay, so yep. So judges, also welcome back.
Let's give SGP Foods a round of applause, please.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Peg Rining. I'm the CEO and founder of SGP Foods. SGP Foods is a resource efficiency technology company that develops proprietary technology and processes to solve the most pressing problems of climate change and food security. If you can see this image, does it remind you of February 2020? So we were incorporated around that time, to firstly, to ensure food security for our nation and also solve climate issues at the same time. So how we do it? So how we do it is through the development of innovative and scientific products and solutions by leveraging technology to achieve these goals. So technology forms the bedrock of our monitoring, control, and optimization tools and parameters to enable agricultural and climate-related processes. So in particular, we would like to share that we are very strong with our security solutions, network solutions, and IoT solutions in the area of technology. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so if we were to talk about products and solutions, we will categorize it into these three main areas. So the first one would be our carbon-related projects, which we generate carbon credits from, and we do carbon monitoring and reporting solutions. We are also in both indoor and outdoor agriculture. So in indoor agriculture, we talk about high-tech urban farming. In outdoor agriculture, we're actually planting in Thailand, and we're also planting in Mexico. And then we also have software solutions. So when we are in line with the Singapore goals as seen here. And we have won a few awards as well and a few upcoming too. Okay, so I think we'll just run through quickly because Okay, anyway, I think I'll just explain off the cuff. So what we have is for our outdoor agricultural projects, we actually plant a crop that can derive oil, flour, and fiber from it. At the same time, we are also embarking on carbon-related processes to sequester carbon from the atmosphere. So just now, if you remember, Ms. Shun Xueling talked about gigatons of carbon, right? So this project right now, we are doing it in Mexico and Thailand. If it's replicated 200 over times, it can bring our atmosphere back to pre-industrial levels. So we generate carbon credits that contributes to our revenue streams as well. There's oil, flour, fiber derived, which can contribute to food products, secondary food products, building materials, batteries, and sustainable building materials as well. When we talk about indoor farming, we do the technology for monitoring control of the parameters. At the same time, we optimize the parameters being put in. We'll go a few slides ahead. No worries.
Mike, okay. So now we are open up for Q&A from the panel of judges.
Yeah, I'm open to hearing your questions because I have a lot of things on my slides.
Maybe you want to share what is the revenue stream.
Sure.
You don't have a chance to show it. And
maybe we'll go back a few slides. So anyway, our revenue stream comes currently from this resource optimization software that, in fact, we help decision makers to make more effective decisions through coming out with a consolidated data management and optimization system. So in fact, currently we do it for one particular, I think one slide later.
Yeah, we do it for one particular industry right now, but in fact, this solution can be applicable to many industries. So it's in line with our whole conception of being resource efficient in anything we do. Yeah.
What is your current run rate revenue?
Current, how much is it?
Yeah.
It's 250,000 per annum. And
For last few years, for
the
last 10
past year,
years?
we incorporated 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And our revenue streams will come from other areas as well, such as the food products, secondary food products, carbon credits as well, and various software IoT automation solutions.
I'm sorry, who do you serve as your key customers?
Again?
Like, who are your key customers and what do you do for them?
Yeah, we
Because
have,
there's a lot of things
yeah,
going on. In a bit.
correct. So we develop technologies for them primarily because my team is very strong in technology. I myself was from both tech and engineering. My co-founder has had decades of experience developing software. He used to be at Apple, decades. He started many years ago. So my team is very strong in technology, and that's why it forms the bedrock of what we are doing in the area of sustainability.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you, judges.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Okay, can we give her a round of applause? Okay, next up, can we invite the last group for early stage, which is finite? Finute. Why did I say finite? Yeah, because it looks like I to me. Finute. All right, let's give Finute a round of applause.
All right. Hi everyone. I'm Winston. I'm from Finute, and Finute is a metaverse technology company that develops immersive experiences. So the problem here is currently it's not working. Next. Brands have a hard time marketing effectively on metaverse platforms, and this is back. Can we restart? Yeah. Can we restart? Okay. Finute is a metaverse technology company that develops immersive. Brands have a hard time marketing effectively on metaverse platform, and they lack fun engagement. Fun engagement and connection. And for example, a leading investment bank has launched in the metaverse, and users complain that it's boring, and the only thing that they can do is to talk to others. There's no activities. And there's a fashion brand store in the metaverse as well, with fictional design, with fictional work elements, and users complain that it doesn't relate to them and feels too distant. Which is why we have developed a platform where, next slide, which is called INCT, which is a digital twin metaverse based on Singapore for local companies to market their products and services. As compared to creating a simple virtual metaverse stores and events, Finute INCT differentiates itself through the ability to engage customers through connection, engagement, and fun. Next slide. So as for connection, a realistic digital twin of Singapore helps users feel more connected to its real counterpart, whereas as compared to a fantasy world, they might not be able to relate as well as to the products and services that's offered by the different brands. Next slide. And so let's have a case study by the Ministry of Defense, where we actually created a realistic digital twin of Singapore, which helps people feel more connected to its real counterpart. And we replicated the entire Marina Bay region for people to celebrate National Day Parade. So this is actually used for this year's NDP Metaverse, and it also syncs with the real life fly pass. So if organized, right, if the state flag fly pass, you will see in the Metaverse as well. Next slide. And another case study is for UABS Singapore, which is for engagement, where we actually recreated their entire office building inside the metaverse, so that people can actually learn more about the brand. And also, who knows, you might be a future employee of UBS, want to find out what they serve. And this is a great place for you to do it inside the virtual world, in the metaverse, anywhere across the world, anywhere. Next slide. And also for the MINDEF, for the National Day Parade 2022 for engagement, there's an open house concept where it's created in the metaverse, where you can actually look at these different assets of the SCF and also actually try them out, which is why it's very engaging and people remember it. Next slide. So for example, you can actually wear the different uniforms of the SAF and the home team and all that. And to all of our NS men, thank you for your service. Next slide. And also you can actually jump out of a C-130 a plane, so you can become like a red lion, and so you can fly different fighter jets. So imagine like myself who has served NS, I want to serve NS, I can actually do it inside the metaverse. And who knows, you can help with recruitment efforts for the SAF and the different teams. So this is what you can do in the metaverse that you can't do in the real life. Next slide. And also, because it's fun, it's meant to be fun. People will remember your brand, remember what you do. That's what you want as a brand, for people to remember you, which is why it's fun. You can do a lot of stuff in the metaverse, drive cars, drive a lot of things, anything you can do. Next slide. There's no time. So you can also explore the vehicles of that. Next slide. So for example, if you're a car manufacturer, you can actually do it in the metaverse. Showcase your car to other people, let them test out in the virtual world. And it's a very mobile piece VR. Next slide. So with 100,000 unique users have tried a live stream metaverse. Government, next slide. It's actually a growing industry. Next slide.
Unfortunately, we have to end off here.
Next slide. Just
but
continue the slides.
thank you so much for that sharing. Now we will open the floor for Q&A by the judges.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I have a question. I want to know more about your how do you earn? What's your revenue model like?
Can I use the slide? So for the revenue model, we're actually B2B, B2C. So we actually, like, for example, brands can actually approach us where we actually charge them a fee for them to build like their virtual offices, virtual events inside the metaverse. So these are actually engaging and brands. So that's one of our way. Another way is we can actually set up a store in the metaverse, and we as the company, right, we actually take a 30% cut of every single purchase. So as the platform, we also earn money, and we also do charge a monthly fee for these virtual stores, and it's been already used in existence.
Okay, so to make it clear that you guys are the technology company that helps other companies to create a metaverse.
Yes, as well. And we also take a cut from their clients as well.
Okay, so you guys also have a metaverse like a shopping mall where you guys
like that. Yes, this one. Okay. And our other revenue model is also just directly charging events and also officers. So like if you want to become an employee of the company, you can do that. Next slide. And you can also use it for virtual tourism, so that's something cool. So I myself, I'm SG startup founder, recipient. I won national entrepreneurship. I also won multiple global and national innovation competitions. I started this when I was 10 years old. So like 10 years ago, I actually went for NDP like 10 years ago as a P5 student. Now I'm going back there as a helping out NDP. And my co-founder who couldn't be here today because it was quite last minute. So he couldn't get out of poly. So thank you so much. And I'm sorry for the thing, but I've tried my best. Thank you.
Can I just get the last question? Quickly, you are revenue positive right now.
We are revenue positive. We have about almost $130,000 in revenue since we started last year.
1 year, 130,000. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mute. This concludes our early stage. Now, let us move on to the growth stage. Please welcome Green Arc Online.
Hi, everyone. By 2030, 95% of all investments, or $125 trillion, will be tagged as sustainable or ESG investments. To bring some sanity to this mega trend, a variety of regulations have been pouring in from governments and industry bodies. My name is Ronnie, CEO of GreenArc, an impact analytics fintech that helps financial institutions navigate this maze of sustainable investments. Our focus is impact investments, where along with financial returns, social and environmental returns are also measured, and is a $2.2 trillion market. By measuring the impact of loan portfolios, banks can lower their cost of capital and increase their revenues through a wider investor pool. This is particularly valuable to banks servicing high impact sectors like small businesses, agriculture, and education. But access to impact markets is restricted by limited availability of in-house expertise and expensive consultants. This leaves out the majority of the 25,000 plus banks globally. Introducing GreenArc's impact measurement SaaS solution, which democratizes impact market access through an accredited methodology aligned to global standards. an industry-first patent for calculating impact using a high-throughput process with existing loan data, and contextualization at a geographic and sectoral level based on a big data solution of 200 plus countries and jurisdictions. We work on a SaaS-based pricing with a one-time setup fee and a recurring usage fee based on volumes of data processed. We also have access to a large loan data set, which allows us to provide value-added services like reporting and advanced impact analytics. In terms of traction, we have a number of active engagements across top-tier banks like BNP Paribas, Mitsubishi UFJ, governments like US State of New Mexico, and due diligence in progress with Saudi Arabia's NEOM project, Philippine Central Bank, etc. On financial metrics, we already have $1.9 billion of assets on platform. And for the next stage of growth, we have partnerships with large fintechs, which gives us access to multiple countries around the world. We've got a strong team experienced across finance, impact, and AI, 17 staff, and 2 senior advisors across the globe. We've raised $1.5 million till date, led by Silicon Valley-based VC. GreenArc has received accolades from Asian Development Bank, MAS, Capgemini, Plug and Play, TechCrunch, among others. Happy to take any questions you might have. Thank you.
Session.
Hi, just gonna ask, I think really about who generally is your main customer profile, who uses your SaaS tool?
It's targeted at financial institutions, but more recently we've realized government lending programs are also a candidate. So it's primarily banks and fintech lenders, as well as government lending programs.
Hello. Just curious, right? How's the AUM retention cohorts looking like for you? Or is the increase in AUM typically from new clients versus existing?
So in one of the slides, I had shared the assets on the platform. So we do have a fairly large volume of assets coming from new engagements. At the same time, the existing engagements tends to be refresh of loan data. So the AUM growth tends to be from newer customers primarily.
Okay, and do you know typically how long would be the sales as well as onboarding cycle?
It varies quite a bit. So for the partner engagements, these are very large tech players who have tens or hundreds of banks already. So it's a one-time integration, which takes 6 months, which is the current onboarding we are doing. Beyond that, it's literally turning on the service from a client side. For the bespoke engagements we've done till date, the shortest engagement shortest onboarding has been 1 month. The longest can be 6 months.
All right, that is the end of the Q&A session. Thank you so much, GreenArc. Let us now welcome AgTech up on stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we go back to the slide one? Okay, good afternoon. Hi, I'm Raven. I'm the founder of AgTech, the platform called Kids Quest. Kids Quest is called Kids Knowledge Quest, intending for kids reimagining learning for 0 to 12. Next slide, thanks. I grew up having a problem, learning. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I grew up wanting to learn in an enrichment school, learning dancing, music, taekwondo, but my mom said no money. And the last few years, I was struggling with my kids, sleeping on Zoom lesson with hybrid learning. The teachers are just not engaging. So we need content that is engaging. Next slide. And we, as a Singaporean company, we push and launch this project in Indonesia because it is the largest market in Southeast Asia. 27 million with the largest kids from primary school to preschool. Next. We built a platform called Kids Quest, integrating all the best enrichment content from Singapore, China, Southeast Asia, turning their offline lesson into online and aggregating with technology, AI, with gamified for the school to use. Next slides. The beneficiaries are the parents and the teachers. Pardon me, the students and the teachers. And the paying client are the parents and the school. So next slide. It is a 14 billion USD market in Southeast Asia, focusing with Indonesia first. Next. So we make money both ways. We make money from digitalizing content with our partners who owns enrichment school for the last 15 to 20 years, Southeast Asia, and then we sell it on a marketplace platform and we get a royalty of 15% each time each content is sold through our platform. Next. Our go-to-market is very simple. We go to B2C, B2B2C, as well as B2G. Currently, we have grown high traction with 60,000 students on our platform through B2C, B2C, to B2B, to C, and B2G. Next, we have seen 500% growth over the last few months. We have reached 60,000 students by end of this year to 300,000 by next year. Next. If you compare me with the more established player in the market, in Indonesia, we stand out to be a lot more scalable because our content came from a more international curriculum. Next slide. This is our way, our roadmap to become an ecosystem for education in the next 3 to 5 years. Next. And as a company that is EduTech, we are very focused with social impact 4 and 8. Next, as that we have a goal for the near term and a goal for the long term. Next. The team is pretty strong. Besides Singaporeans, we have a diverse team from Southeast Asia and advisor from international. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now be opening the floor for questions.
Hi, so how do you charge and how much of your current users are paying?
100% of my users are paying. 60,000 users, all of them paid. So our GMV is about 600,000 this year.
It's like $10 per month.
Thank you. We charge per month, and usually if the B2B2C, we charge whole year.
So it's $10 a month or $10 a year, sorry?
For the B2C is monthly. For the school, we collect by year, but we still charge them monthly. Just that we collect upfront whole year. So the good news is the school needs this, and they are looking at higher level, more level, and the content partners are looking to do more because they need to fulfill some of the requirements for the next few years. Yeah. So I would say the lifetime value is at least as long as the student stays in the school, up to grade 12, grade 6. So we are going to move up to grade 12. Currently, we do from 0 to 12 years old. My LTV is about 980 per student. Because we charge pretty low per unit. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ekret. Now, for the last pitch of the day, let us welcome Sound Eye.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yauki. I'm from Shanghai. Do you know anyone had a fall before? I mean, really physical fall. Okay, next slide, please. 4 years ago, my mother-in-law fell down near the hospital bed, and I wouldn't say the hospital name. She was on the floor, crying near the bedside for nearly 30 minutes before the nurse come and intervene. Unfortunately, she passed away 2 years ago. She never fully recovered after that. Okay. So the hospital gave me an explanation. The nurse is busy in other wards. I was like shocked. Okay. So we come up with a solution here that's capable of detecting fall and preventing fall. And this technology is developed in conjunction with hospitals and nursing homes in Singapore. So we use depth sensor. It's practically blasting millions of lights to the environment. Lights will be reflected back. That's how you see the tiny little dots of lights. So we can detect fall and prevent fall. We can prevent fall by detecting the patient is trying to get out of the bed. The nurse will be notified and go and rescue her. Okay. We also incorporated sound recognition. Okay, so because my mother-in-law did scream for help, did cry loud, but no one come and rescue her. So we can do sound recognition by detecting abnormal sounds such as screaming for help, aggression sound. In fact, we use this same technology for Changi Airport to do gunshot, explosion, and aggression sound as well. Okay, next slide, please. So our business model is based on a subscription model that is as cheap as $2 per day. This is cheaper than a plate of chicken rice. So we're also working on new products as well, because that comes with more features and cost even less. We're talking about $1 per day. Okay, that is more cheap, is more affordable than a cup of coffee. Next slide. So so Sound also outperforms all the competitors products out there in the market. We're talking, we are the only device in the world that is capable of detecting fall, preventing fall, and at the same time detecting a normal sound as well. Okay, next slide, please. So the traction so far so good. During the pandemic, we are still generating revenue. We are talking about $970,000 US dollar. So Singapore dollars is 1 million. So we also have revenue pipeline of $400,000. This morning, I just received a purchase order for a public hospital as well for the bedside monitoring. Okay, that's about nearly 6 figures. Okay, next one. We are no one-trick pony. Okay, we don't just do elder care. We do multiple business. We're talking about nursing home, home for the destitute, home for the orphanage, home for the mental impairment, Changi Airport surveillance, Bangkok shopping mall, workplace safety for research lab as well. Next one. So we come from diversified team. Myself, I was a researcher for 11 years. I was an adjunct lecturer in SUSS for gerontology. My co-founder, Wyoming, expert in electronics. Desmond is responsible for all the revenues. So we have AI engineers, software engineers, as well as manager. Okay, I think that's
Okay, thank you so much. We will now be moving on to the Q&A segment.
Thank you so much. Any questions so far? Anyone want to start?
Can you share a little bit more about your marketing plan? Because there's only one person doing business, the rest of them are all tech.
Yes, in fact, Hiromi-san, the last one, she's also handling the Japan Japan as well. So one of my investors is Toyokanatsu, a corporate from Japan. So after the pandemic, we are trying to go into Japan market, mother of all aging population there. In Singapore-wise, we always want to convince the big brother. In fact, we are the trusted vendor for National Council of Social Services. That means we can buy, it's a green lane kind of stuff. We're also working closely with SingHealth. Just now, the business I mentioned, it comes from them as well. I guess we are talking about subscription model. If we deploy to Japan, we deploy to Singapore, Malaysia, or any Asian countries.
I'm more interested to know within your team who is doing the sales.
Desmond, myself, and Hiromi-san were 3 of us. Desmond Chong has been working on he's a salesman for software. He has joined Sound for nearly 4 years. So he has all the engagement with the hospital, nursing homes, and social welfare organizations. Yeah. By the way, he's my co-founder as well. Yeah. Any other questions so far? Okay. If not, I'll ask you the question. Will you invest in me? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, judges and Sound Eye. We have now come to the end of all the pitches. Let us give the contestants one more round of applause, please. Now, the judges will be taking the lead for an evaluation and a discussion. So let us give our judges a round of applause as they take their leave. Thank you.
Okay, so while the judges are taking the leave out, we have something upcoming. We should be having a fireside chat with the EWC 2021 startup founders. So Mr. Jaron Teo, the managing director of Gen Singapore, will be hosting it. So let's give him some time to return. Okay, Mr. Allen, CEO and co-founder of NDR Medical, and Mr. Sharif Rafi, founder and CEO of Outpost. Are you all here? Anyway, just a show of hands, how many of you feel that it actually felt like Shark Tank just now? Like, have you all watched Shark Tank where the judges actually really kind of like point out all the pros and cons and then telling the pitchers whether they want to invest or not, and then they're very brutal, very candid.
Test, test, test.
Okay, can we invite okay, Mr. Allen. Yeah, can we invite Mr. Allen Goh, CEO and co-founder of NDR Medical, up onto the stage? And then we have another one, Mr. Sharif, who is, I think, still in the gents. He will be coming in very shortly. And of course, very importantly, Mr. Jaron Teo. Yes, Mr. Sharif, can we have you up on the stage? No worries. Yeah, you need to look good, right?
Do we need was it drinking?
Yes, yeah, because I think. How you been, my friend? Okay. Thanks. Yeah, can you have some water, please? So, thank you everyone for staying on. We're going to have, very shortly, the judges will be evaluating the results. After that, we'll then have the award ceremony before dinner. Yeah. So meanwhile, while the judges are evaluating the results and to deliberate on the scores, we're going to have a very casual session to have a fireside chat with our past year startups, as well as one of them here, Mr. Alan Goh. He also represented Singapore and Saudi Arabia last year. Yeah. So we're going to keep it very casual, and we'll end off with some Q&A. So if anyone have questions, we do have a mic that is going around. Later on, we could invite you to ask some questions, yeah? Right, so we have with us Sharif from Outpost, and then Alan from NDR Medical. Right, so Sharif, would like to start off by introducing what Outpost does. Yeah.
Oh, wow, straight to the game, huh? Yeah, so first of all, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharif, and I'm the founder and CEO at Outpost. At Outpost, our mission is to modernize street food vendors. Every day, there's 2.5 billion people from around the world who still consume from street food vendors. But unfortunately, they're part of the informal economy, so they lack a lot of capabilities, right? So at Outpost, we look at how we could reintegrate street food vendors, and to the extension of that, also micro merchants to be part of the formal economy by providing them a suite of technology, mainly software, as well as a bunch of other tools, right? And also more recently, we're trying to look at how we could leverage Web 3.0 technology to make sense for them as a way to bring Web 3 to the masses. So that's in a nutshell, elevator pitch of what Outpost is about. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, hi everybody, good afternoon. I'm Alan Goh, CEO and co-founder of NDR Medical. So we are AI surgical robotics company. If you are looking for deep tech company, we are definitely one of them. We are lucky enough to be representing Singapore in 2021. Likewise, from just now, one of the company, if anyone is looking to invest in deep tech, med tech company, please look for me later. But today, I guess my role here as a panelist, I shall share my experience in my startup journey, as well as probably if you are interested to know what is Saudi Arabia like, feel free to ask me.
Always be hustling, right, Alan?
Yes. Any opportunity, you sell.
Always closing.
Always closing. Nice one. Okay. So yeah, and also recently in this trip, right, we have been to Saudi Arabia, right, for this Global Entrepreneurship Congress. So it was great having both Alan and Sharif along with us. Maybe I just want to, since everyone is here for Entrepreneurship World Cup, we could just have Alan to share a few words about how was it as a startup representing Singapore and going onto the global stage and representing in person in Saudi Arabia, am I right? Yeah. Could you share with us that journey?
To be pitching in Singapore, in some of like US and other places, like even in China, to be speaking in another language, I think is kind of easy for a bilingual individual like myself, being grown and born in Singapore, serving my NS as such. But going to Saudi Arabia is total different experience. The mindset of the panelists, the judges will be kind of different. The whole symposium is enormous. There's a lot of investors from all around the world coming to the stage trying to question us. I think likewise, as a form of competition, is more or less the same, but specifically in the Saudi Arabia market, generally people look for different things. Hence, we have always been trying to pivot our pitch to make it suitable for the Saudi Arabia investors.
Right, right. So you went on to the global stage, and I believe how many countries do you have to compete with? Is it? No, not.
I don't have
don't have that.
But only for this year, because of the pandemic, only the top 25 participants were invited to Saudi Arabia to do the pitch. If my recollection is correct, Jaren, correct me if I'm wrong, last year or the year before that, it used to be the top 100. So there are multiple stages. We have the semi-finalists. So this is just the first stage, after which you will go into the top 100, then you will go into the top 25, then you will compete for the first few prizes.
Yeah. So the journey has been long, and always having Singapore on the global stage, right? Because our startups has been carefully selected by the judges, and very in terms of quality wise, is one of the highest, right? And Alan, you were there yourself in person. Any key takeaways from your Saudi trip?
Enjoy your trip if you are being invited. It's really an amazing place. If you guys have been to Israel, even though it's not the best comparison, but Saudi Arabia is really just opening up for tourism. Everything is new. The people there are friendly. I mean, it's really an eye-opener. I'm not a Muslim, but we are very welcome in the country itself. Definitely looking forward to going back to Saudi Arabia again.
Nice. Speaking of which, I think Sharif, you've been to Saudi a few times. Could you share with us your experience?
Sure. So just a bit of a backstory. Unlike Alan, and as you've heard his amazing elevator pitch, right? It's no surprise why the startup won the trip, right? At Outpost, we made it to the finals, but we didn't make the final cut to win the competition and have a sponsored trip, I guess, to the event. But nonetheless, I put my hand up and I actually volunteered and said, hey, if there's an opportunity, should the situation with COVID be better, I'd like to make the trip on behalf of the company, right? Because I had a gut feeling that not just Saudi Arabia as a whole, but the MENA region as a whole is going to be the next space for growth, right? I've been in the tech startup space here in Singapore, Southeast Asia for the past 18, 19 years. This is not my Outpost is not my first startup. This is not my first rodeo. I've been at it for a while. And I've been fortunate, as with most of us here, we've been fortunate to observe how the Southeast Asia startup ecosystem has developed over the past decade or so, right? And I had a sense that this was going to happen in the MENA region as well, MENA being Middle East and North Africa. And the last time I was in Saudi, it was actually 15 years ago, right, prior. So when I came back to Riyadh this year, I found it refreshingly different, right? And definitely forward thinking, and they're super supportive of tech startup being locally or even foreign folks. I mean, there was a day where they were signing nonstop. I don't know how many MOUs, right? For startups just to bring their talent and establishment there.
I think it's a few billions of deals being made on the one event.
They were just announcing like every 5 minutes, another MOU, another MOU, another MOU, right? So it's very exciting time for startups, whether you're in the growth phase or even in the early phase, right? To keep a tabs on the region and see how your product or services can be relevant there. So it was a truly positive experience for me. It was really nice and thankful for the opportunity to reconnect with the region thanks to EWC. Yeah.
Nice. Alan, have something to say?
Yeah, I think likewise for both investors and startup looking for investments, the only thing that got my eyes lit up was right before the trip, I was being told that there were billionaires running around the place because the conferences that EWC was holding does attract investors worldwide. Even the prince himself will be attending as well. So there's really an opportunity for startups that's looking for funding, probably in the Gulf region as well. That's where the opportunity lies, I think, in the next century.
Yeah, speaking of many billionaires, I didn't have the opportunity to join him at the global stage because of the pandemic. But I definitely met one, Mr. Kevin O'Leary, the Shark Tank investor. It was the first year in 2019. Definitely, I think he acknowledged that the region is progressing away from the traditional oil and gas industry and really towards the future of travel, future of tech, and how do they then transform their economy towards the digital age. Right? And both of you are very successful individuals. And I believe the audience here today would also like to learn, right? What are kind of attributes and how do you, build those qualities, within you? And I think earlier also, Alan, you mentioned about NS, right? So maybe you could share a bit of a few of these qualities and how have you been shaped throughout your years in entrepreneurial growth?
I think it goes back because NS itself taught us very important lessons, even though it's 2 years of my life or 2.5 years back in my time. But I guess when on hindsight, when we look back, it's very well spent if we make the best use of it. And through it, we learn a lot about leadership skill, leading by example. And that has been the mantra when I was leading my company to the current stage. To be a bit more humble, I guess we are still in the starting phase in the deep tech arena. We are not considered successful yet. The real success will come eventually when we IPO or we get acquired by a larger company. I think that is the dream for all tech startup or all startup founders. But likewise, as I mentioned, NS has really been part and puzzle of how we have crafted our leadership skill over the years. Even the national service that we have been attending, the reservice, it does help to somehow refresh our memories, give us some new air, like we breathe. Go into the NS, it's more like somewhat like a leisure. You get you off your work, you refresh, get new ideas, you get the motivation and fighting spirit again. I think resilience is the word that I will use, what I've gotten out from my NS training.
Sharif? Yeah, so I like to echo Alan's sentiment there. I think nowhere I'll put myself in a bracket of being successful just yet. Still very much a work in progress, right? It's that ever elusive chase for success, perfection, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, whatever the definition of success is, right? I think as founders, we're always building, right? And once we hit our goals, milestone, we want to move on to the next thing, right? But coming back to the point of NS, right? So any home team NS folks here, or is it just all Safra folks here? Home team, all right.
Oh, you have a few.
There's
Okay.
another probably police or CD folk there. Hello, yeah. So I was in the police, but I have to say that my heart actually belongs to Safra, because little known fact is when I was younger, I was part of the national shooting team. So I used to spend a lot of time, almost every evening, every night at Safra Bukit Merah, and then Safra Yishun. In the shooting range, just firing away, and again the trying to pursue perfection, right? In target shooting. So I was sort of like in NS before even I was in NS. But once I was there, NS is definitely a perfect spot for you to build connections with other aspects of the community, the society, which otherwise you might not have crossed path with, right? So I think that's the biggest takeaway. And the thing is, when you're a founder, you have no choice but to go beyond your comfort zone, whether that being doing certain things that you're not comfortable with, or even working with people that you might not be familiar with or comfortable with, right? So this whole conversation around going to another continent, a different culture, different background and all that, I think for those of us who are fortunate enough, and I use the word purposefully. For those of us who are fortunate enough to have gone through NS, I think it's been forced upon us, but at the same time, I think it's a good thing that we have to make the most of working with people outside of our usual circle, right? And that sometimes can bring the best out of people, or at minimum, it might give us an opportunity to learn from it and be more not to say approachable, but willing to work with others in the future, right, in different contexts. So I think that's the biggest takeaway for me for national service, and in that aspect, I really appreciate it.
Wow, a lot more than what I've experienced.
Well, there's other points as well, but that would be the biggest takeaway, lah.
Okay.
I think just to echo the sentiment, I mean, there's 2.5 years of our life. You can choose to make the best of it, or you can just literally get it over and done with. It's much like the startup. I think normal people wouldn't really want to jump into a startup. It's not fancy, it's not fun. It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of sleepless night. But it's about being there, doing your best, getting the best of every single situation. At the end of the day, I think what we get out from both NS and our startup is that we have a very good story to tell, rather than just a 9-to-5 job and every day we go back home, we find other things to do. But in a startup, this is our life, this is our baby, this is our wife, in a certain sense, this is our kid, and we definitely want to grow it much further if we could.
And if I may add one more thing about it just occurred in my mind. So normally in startup, I mean in NS, right? I'm sure you guys have heard there's by right and then by left, right? So you got sometimes the thing about in the startup was that you got to live in this land of ambiguity, right? Not everything is so clear, so apparent. And usually when you're in the cutting edge of technology, there's new rules, sometimes there's not even any form of governance, right? Or clear-cut rules. So you have to figure things out on your own. And then even in NS, we were given the opportunity, whether right or wrong, that's another conversation altogether, to be creative around certain structure, right? I mean, NS is probably the most structured environment you're ever going to be in your life. So yet, we as trainees or cadets, whatever it is, we have to figure out sometimes how to bring a bit of that creativity and read the rules in a slightly different way, and then do what's best for the man next to you, right? So that experience as well, when you're in startup land, would be helpful, right? Because sometimes it's what's best for you, the company, and also the people within your organization, right? You're going to meet some really, really, really tough decisions, especially during tough times like this. And then you have that early band of brothers and sisters, right, that you're working with. So that's kind of like what startup is about, and that analogy with NS. So I hope that's helpful.
Wow, really deep. Okay, I don't have much. I guess I was just thinking when you were mentioning that kind of come back to what we're trying to do at a startup ecosystem, right? And as you say, we leave no man behind. And we hope in the startup ecosystem, we leave no startup founders behind, because we are all here to learn and grow together as one. And we may be from different industries. We may be in the same industry, but complementary in terms of the offerings we provide to our customers. We may have different strengths and weaknesses, but that's where we come together. We use the word huddle, right? To help one another out, right? We share the advice, we share our experiences, be it good or bad. I think there's always a good, benefit from the entire conversations. And when we succeed, the rest feel happy for us. We're not doing so well, the rest won't be, shunning away us, right? They will come to us and see how else can we help, take you forward. So I think that kind of spirit is what, I think at Gen Singapore, we hope to inspire and to cultivate. And glad to have so many of our founders here today. And I believe I also know in the room here, we have a couple of investors. So I hope later on the networking dinner will be meaningful.
Can you get investors to raise their hands?
I believe there's at least 5 upstairs. Yeah, so when they come down, they'll be flooded with questions. Yeah. Talking about investors, right? I remember when we were in Riyadh, someone approached you and said that they would like to hear a pitch. Could you share more, Sharif?
Oh, you mean on the last day at the lobby of Ritz-Carlton?
Yes,
right,
yes.
right. That was so that is one of amazing memories where we have as a startup founder to date, right? So funny enough, during the event, I think they sort of messed up the investor startup matchmaking ecosystem. So they said, hey guys, we sort of messed up. So on the last event of the entire event, just go to the lobby of Ritz-Carlton and all the investors are going to be there and all the startups are going to be there. You guys go and figure things out yourself, right? So you got to hustle. So at the end of the 4 or 5 days event, we were all super exhausted. But you as a founder, you have this fire in you to want to make the most, to optimize whatever that you have in front of you, right? So I went to the lobby and then started speaking to people. Of course, initially, look, believe it or not, I'm actually an introvert, but that's another story altogether. So initially you hang out with the colleagues, your startup founders, you made friends over the past 4 or 5 days. And then after that, you tell yourself, you know what, I need to make the most of this time. So you started approaching random people, right? And during the course of the event, I met someone, just, say hi, bye, and I asked him what you're doing. Say, oh, we represent an angel group, yada, yada, yada. But because I've been saying hi to him consistently for like 3 days in a row, I managed to speak to him again, and then he pulled me over and said, hey, tell me more about your startup. So I had my laptop in my hand. I just opened up my laptop and I went through the pitch, as I've been pitching 100 times already by now. And within slide 6 or 7, I said, wait a minute, let me bring someone over. Right, he's away. He's doing his prayers for a while, but he'll be out in a bit. So I hung around, and true enough, he stuck to his words, and he brought the person over. And the same thing, right? I found an empty table at the side. I said, let's just sit here. Let me pitch it to you. So at least you're a bit more comfortable. I can pitch to you. And I went through a pitch, and within same thing, within slide 7 to be specific, he said yes, right? He said, yep, I'll be part of this round. How much you're raising and all. And I actually had to tell him that, okay, thank you, but can I finish my pitch first so I can at least a bit more about what we're doing, right? So we went through and ended up becoming a half-an-hour conversation or give or take, and he said yes. And yeah, so now we're in the process of closing that round, right? So the point is, sometimes when you're a founder, you pitch once, twice, 10 times, 50 times, you might not get the result that you want, but know that every single pitch, every single practice, every single no, every single even maybe failed startup, that's meant to get you one step closer to when the right person is right in front of you, right? To the right moment. When the stars are aligned, it happens super fast, right? In my case, I didn't even get a chance to finish my pitch. But that wouldn't have happened if, one, we didn't put ourselves there, we didn't make the trip. Two, we didn't go out there and speak to random people, just say hi and try and make connections. Three, if I've not been practicing that pitch and pitching it over 100 times, not even exaggerating, right? But I can even pitch my eyes closed, right? So it became muscle memory, right? I was just doing my thing, I wasn't even mentally there, but I was being able to pitch. So that was one of the more extraordinary stories or circumstances, I guess, I've experienced. But I'm sure most, not all of you, will get to experience something like that in that nature at some point in your careers.
Really out of the world. From what Sharif mentioned, he met the same guy a few times. That place is massive, I couldn't even find him. He was over there networking. We were like, you can't find each other. It's like end to end. The toilets are like 24 mirrors, gold plated. It's quite massive. And I think it's good that you went on hustling. I think the opportunity comes by to provide a platform where you can network with investors, like-minded individuals. It could be your channel partners, it could be potential distributors, or even co-founders to some extent. But it's up to you as an individual to take the initiative, to hustle your way through and to get what makes most out of the trip, right? So likewise, I think Sharif mentioned about pitching and having it done so many times, it becomes muscle memory. I saw some of the startups today. Apologies for some of the technical issues, but nevertheless, it's also a good training in a sense. Whenever things happen unexpectedly, you never stop, right? You carry on as per normal and do it multiple times, because in life it's never smooth sailing. And I think that's what we have to do as entrepreneurs. So we saw the judges are back. Perhaps we could have 1 or 2 questions from the audience for our panelists today. And we can, yeah. Can I have any questions from the audience? No questions? Oh, they have a question there.
Yeah, hello. My question is to Mr. Sharif. Like you said, this isn't your first startup. So could you talk a bit about your first startup and how you came about starting, and at what age did you actually get into the business?
So I don't think I can call it a startup, but when I was a lot younger, I think probably primary school. Is it primary school? Lower primary. I used to read a lot of Garfield comics, and then one of my favorite things to do was because I wanted to share the humor and the laughter with others. So what I did, I went to the bookstore and I photocopy. I didn't know about copyright laws back then, right? You know, what would a 6, 7-year-old kid know about copyright laws? But so I made photocopy of the comic strips that I really liked, paste it on a drawing block, and then after that I sold to my other. I didn't sold. I just say, hey, you want this? Is like 50 cents or $1, right? So I probably robbed them of their lunch money until my mom found out. So it's probably the earliest thing I can remember to hustling or selling something. But I guess on a more formal level, so while I was in, oh man, I should probably say this.
Go ahead.
So while I was in national service, me and a few friends were already brainstorming on an idea. So I was fortunate enough to get a role, you know, that required me to be in office hours. So by night we would jam on ideas, and back then I was looking at how we could digitize music, right? So building a legal version of Napster. That was a tough. Don't get me wrong, like that eventually, obviously, you got Spotify now is another $1 billion company. But at that time when I was 19 or so, don't know anything about code, about tech, spoke to a bunch of consultants to build, and they were billing me like, you know, saying, hey, this would cost $200,000 to build. Don't know whether that's right or wrong. Went and met the record labels, try to license their music. Who would trust a 19-year-old do this, right? Flew to Las Vegas to also, you know, talk to the record labels there. And long story short, nobody would trust a 19-year-old, right? Even though the gut instinct and the concept and the idea was eventually proven right. So if you're young and you're more in tune with technology, whether that's, you know, Web3, NFTs, crypto, whatever it is, you're gonna get a bunch of people telling you this is probably not right. But sometimes you got to trust your gut feeling and then go on and validate that, right? Do some form of validation and see whether there's a market for it, you know. And in my case, I obviously got it wrong. Didn't get to raise any money, didn't get to build a tech. But that first proper attempt at a proper venture, which I dropped out of college, by the way, to do it as well, that helped me make some connections which I have until today. And I'm able to go back to and say, hey, I'm building this now. Can you help me out, right? If not for that, I wouldn't have had these connections these days. So obviously, you know, for all you first-time founders out there, I wish you, you know, the best, and may this first venture be a home run by itself. But if it doesn't, you know, don't feel. You know, obviously back then I was gutted about it. You know, when you're young, you're everything's so dramatic. But know that at heart, there's opportunities to build upon it in the future, right? So yeah.
Sharif, nowadays, this generation, we have kids pitching as young as 17 or 7 years old, and really young founders. We have one of our judges here, Yiling. She runs a Young Founders Summit, and many of the young founders are high school students. They're pitching really well and getting support from the ecosystem. So I think you were a good role model for them, and all of us should not think that age is just a kind of a number. And I think if we have something we're passionate about, we go forward to just share our ideas, and hopefully we'll find someone, you know, find something that resonates with us, and we can do something bigger and greater together. Ellen, and anything you want to comment about starting young as a founder yourself, since Sharif mentioned his early days as a hustler?
Probably I can just add on to that. Even though this seems like my first startup, but if you define what actually is a startup, I in my own words, I would say startup is companies that are developing something that require investment. Definitely you go out and you get some investment and you raise another round, you expand the company. Exponential growth is something that we are looking at. Or you are doing something like deep tech, whereby you require a lot of capital. But in my past life, I would say when I was about 20 odd, we do a lot of business. We do a lot of projects that we just run on a project basis. So we earn quite a fair bit. We don't really need to start a company or close one. There's no failure. So in actual fact, over time, if you to context it into the number of projects and business that we do, is really a plenty. It's just that we don't officiate to register a company, to raise funds, or to hire a big team, which I would say what a startup would actually do. So nevertheless, I guess for every individual, young or old, age doesn't matter. If you are thinking of building something meaningful, for the market, going to disrupt some of the industry, do so, because we only live once and we love to have a story to tell at the end of the journey.
Right. And I think that will inspire future generations, our kids and all that, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Just a quick point to add about startup and startup education. I think these days, everyone is so fortunate to have the ability to attend programs and learn about how to do a startup in a more structured fashion, right? But that said, try not to pressure yourself and say, oh, I'm trying to build the next disruptive thing and build $1 billion company. When you're starting out, it's nothing more than just a figment of an idea and a gut feeling on a certain thing. It's really just a project. That's what it is. So ease off it, like chill. It's just a project. Think on it, and there's something to it. Then you start building more upon it, right? Back then when I was a lot younger, people say, oh, you got to quickly go and form the company, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And after you go and do the whole shebang, then you realize, what you're working on was a dud, right? So unless, of course, you're working on something that's super IP-heavy or the next medtech stuff, right? Then obviously you got to have the right proper structure. But if you have an idea on something less IP hardcore, right? Then you could start it off as a project first, right? And see how it works, right? In fact, that's how most Web 3.0 projects are starting off right now. It's just a project, right? So don't be so pressurized about you're building the next startup. A startup is at its infancy at the start is just a project, right? So have fun while you're at it as well.
It's definitely not difficult to generate like 10,000, even 50,000 or to 100,000 on a freelance basis. But of course, if you are serious and skill it, you definitely need some capital investment. And also to kind of share with everyone why startup is actually a very lucrative investment. For NDR Medical, we have been around for 8 years. We are developing something deep tech. Throughout 8 years, we already have around 2 products, one already CE certified. We have raised very few rounds, but we do have a few secondary sales, meaning that some of my early founders, shareholders, or even pioneer team members who have already gotten their 25x, 100x return. I would say everyone on my shareholder list has already profited, have gotten their capital back.
Nice. Wow. I should have known Alan earlier. I will work in his company. And then that's what founders, right? You find a good startup, a vision, a founder that you can follow, you support them. So this is what I think we mentioned about intrapreneurship. So if you're here in the audience and you're thinking of maybe embarking on entrepreneur journey, but have not yet decided to start it off, kick off your own journey on your own, or you could have a couple of co-founders, always, no harm trying to join a company, a startup that you resonate with, the vision, you like the founder, you want to build a relationship further, join them, right? And be the entrepreneur, be the top, first, second, third, fourth employee. There are some risks and opportunity costs. That's what our young people these days also think about when graduating, especially with the pandemic. But you kind of only live once, right? And you're young, do the hustle, join the company that you believe strongly in.
I mean, just to further on that point as well, you could, when you're younger, you could join a startup and work within a startup to see how a high growth, fast-paced startup is moving and be receiving a paycheck, maybe even a stock option, right? At the while you learn about the startup space and being a founder, look at how the founder operates as well, learn from it. But another way you could also do is if you're working somewhere right now in a less high growth, fast-paced venture-backed company, i.e. like an SME, right? There's still an opportunity to innovate within that, and that's being intrapreneurial versus entrepreneurial, right? So even if you're in NS, right, you can try and be a bit more intrapreneurial within NS, right? Look, what is a founder's primary job role, right? Aside from pitching, aside from fundraising, at this early stage, we're all about problem solving, right? So there's a ton of problems we solve both out there in the world as well as internally within an existing company. So if you want to have a crack at this whole entrepreneurial stuff, but not maybe risk or have to burden yourself with raising capital so early, you could also try it out by doing it internally. Of course, there'll be some restrictions. Your hands will be tied a little bit, maybe more, don't know. But it's a safer way to try and say, hey, look, you can maybe go to your boss or your business partner, where you say, look, I see this problem. I think there's an opportunity to do this. Can we try it out, right? maybe you'll get a no, and that's normal, right? Then you try and do something, side project, and then prove it, right? Prove it, because that's what part and parcel of being a founder is about. So you can be a founder in your own entity, in a startup, or even in your current job, right? So there's opportunities everywhere.
I think last statement is that there's the difference between join a startup and run a startup. Is two very drastic way of looking at it. Joining a startup, you get to learn from the founders. You get to learn from maybe even sometimes professional CEOs that has been employed to the team. Join a startup if you are not satisfied or you don't want to go to a 9-to-5 job in the corporate world, because startup world is a lot more flexible. So long as you hit your KPIs, you are pretty much flexible. You get to learn a lot. But running a startup is another story. In China, they used to call it the 996. In the startup founder world, we call it 24/7. There's no day, there's no night. US counterparts was telling us they want to listen to our pitch. We wake up at 3 a.m. to do a pitch for them. So it's literally 24/7. It's no longer 996. So choose carefully whether you want a corporate job, you want to join a startup, or you want to run a startup.
And just to drive on that point as well, I think founders burnout is very real, right? I think we all have gone through it, I suppose. So look, I think the young gentleman earlier asked, when was the first startup and all that stuff. Like if you're building your first one and then if things don't work out, it's okay. First of all, it's okay to close the company and move on. Of course, have that conversation with investors if you've raised. And then it's okay to go and get a job, whether that's corporate or even in another SME or startup, right? It's okay to take that break, right? Because sometimes your mind needs to go away and refactor everything in your mind and come back, right? And you come back fresher and stronger. So back then when my first couple of startups, so when it crashed, I was pretty emotional about it, right? Probably still am now. But you gotta tell yourself it's okay, and go and work somewhere else, just get a different perspective, and then you can come back and make that dream again, attempt at making it happen again, right? So yeah.
Given that startup is a very common word these days, last time in the olden days, I think entrepreneurship and startup is a very, I would say, not a very glamorous job that your parents would want you to go into. But these days, I think it's a lot more common, given that a lot of tech startups, you have seen a lot of unicorns in the market. So when you guys go to your reservice, talk to all your teammates, maybe a new ideas may be formed and you can start your startup right after NS.
Yeah. If you ever do during, just find a way around it.
I mean, you can think about stuff. Nobody can stop your brain to think about stuff, right?
Of course.
Yes. Okay, great. So, all right, awesome. Thanks so much, Sharif and Alan. So to wrap up, be curious, solve problems, and create value. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for the speakers. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharif, Mr. Alan, and of course, Mr. Jaren. Okay, next up, now we have our judges all back, which also means that we have the results ready. But before that, can we now invite Mr. Zentrick Chu, board member of Gen Singapore and founder of Ziya Asia, up on stage for a short speech. Yep.
I don't have the 5-minute regulation, right?
Can you find my speech? We can time it for you if you want.
Let me find my speech. Okay, okay, let me take. Good evening. It's been a long day, and congrats to the winners later on that will be announcing for Entrepreneur World Cup. I would like to express my thanks and gratitude to everyone that has taken their valuable time to participate and contribute to this year's edition. As mentioned earlier, or to those that are unaware, this is actually our 4th year edition, and it also marks a return to the offline format after 2 years of consecutive performing online. Now, while COVID-19 has disrupted our normal way of life, especially in business, it has also led to the creation of unprecedented new opportunities, which true entrepreneurs can definitely leverage on. The journey of a startup under normal times are never easy. And this has become even more challenging as COVID-19 movement restriction and the transition of communicating via Zoom has added on to the challenges. Now, even during normal times, many of the startups have failed. But the few who have succeeded went on to serve as beacons of hope and motivation for the rest of the pack to emulate. Some could even impact the entire system. Like, for example, Creative Technology that was founded in 1981 and was incorporated in 1983 that took the world by storm with their sound cards for the PC. Their runaway success in the 1990s also inspired the government of the day to announce a special allocation of $1 billion in 1999 to create an ecosystem to attract venture capitalists into Singapore to aid the development of the startup. At that time, the term startup was not even clearly understood by most in Singapore. This was possible after the post case study on creative, which led to a conclusion that more could be done to nurture the undiscovered gems of the startup. The initial investment did reap its objectives as it managed to attract 40 billion capital funds to Singapore. But on the other side, it failed. Why? Because in 2000, only 2.1% of the population aspire to be entrepreneurs. As basically with the no U-turn syndrome, a term coined by Mr. Sim Wong-Hoo, is omnipresent among many in Singapore society. To even speak of starting a business was a tattoo in family and also to your friends. However, the persistency did pay off in the startup arena. And it was reported in 2020, the investments into startup has grown to $3.8 billion over 257 deals from just $0.1 billion across only 38 deals in 2010. Now, this result could be improved and is precisely why the Entrepreneur World Cup seeks to play this role between this segment. It is undeniable from all participating stakeholders that a successful ecosystem of startup is vital to the future economy of nations. Likewise, we really appreciate strategic sponsors like Amazon, Safra, and for this year, Creative Technology, one of the pioneer successful local startup in the 80s, to walk along with us on this mission to unearth more startup gems, aiming to bring not only economic success, but also to solidify Singapore's reputation as the startup hub recognized by international stakeholders. Once again, thank you, sponsors, for making everything possible. And on behalf of Gen Singapore, we hope that EWC or Entrepreneur World Cup can produce more global champions like Turtle Labs in 2020. Last but not least, let's give a round of applause to Mr. Jaren and his team of volunteers for everything today possible. Have a great week ahead. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chu, can you please stay on the stage? All right, because you're going to give up the prizes, right? Yeah. Okay, so very importantly, there's three winners for today, spread out across the three groups. So the first one that we have, I'm going to make the announcement. There's no drum roll, sadly, unless we want to do the manual drum roll. Okay, for idea stage, we have Team Nurture. Yes, congratulations, please. Okay, congratulations. All right. Next up, we have the winner from the early stage group, which is Simply Good. Congratulations. All right, once again, congratulations. And last but not least, the winner from the growth stage is Kids Quest. Congratulations.
Right. Now we would like to also invite the judges on stage for a token of appreciation. We have Dr. Alex Lin, Miss An Qi Liu, Miss Yiling, and where is Yong Chen? Yong Chen, please, as well, and Ting Yen. Thank you.
Suddenly it feels like a pageant show. Okay. Now, please look at the camera. All right, once again, huge congratulations to all the three winners and a very big thank you to all the esteemed judges.
Now we are nearing the end of this event, but before we close off, we would like to invite Miss Anna Maria, the director of the Entrepreneurship World Cup, for a closing speech. Miss Maria, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to join today. What a privilege to be here. And congratulations to all the finalists, to the winners that participated today.
Hang on, Anna.
Yes?
We have to hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Hi, we can hear you. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Congratulations to all the finalists. Congratulations to the winners that were selected today. Today is a very special event because this is the first national finals for EWC 2022. So I want to thank the leadership of Gen Singapore today and for making this possible. Also to the partners and sponsors that supported today's event and initiative in Singapore. Without your leadership, this initiative wouldn't have been possible. So thank you. We started this journey in 2019, where we launched the Entrepreneurship World Cup at the Global Entrepreneurship Congress in Bahrain. And so rapidly, we grew to have it in 100 countries, where we are having competitions now starting this summer, and with Singapore leading the charts. And rapidly, we were welcoming more than 400,000 participants from 200 countries. So this is the largest startup competition and acceleration program available to you. And we're delighted to welcome all of you who participated and will continue participating in this initiative. This is just the beginning. You just started a process. This is an experience that you have to be part of. Gen Global, we're proud to be a global entrepreneurship network in 180 countries. So the fact that you start this journey means that we also welcome you to the global entrepreneurship ecosystem, where you will be able to have access to capital, access to networks, access to mentors and knowledge, access to visibility, and of course, for some of you who are ready to take it to the next level, access to markets. So it's a whole package, and of course, prizes are important at the global level. So we invited the national champion to move on to the next levels and compete at the global finals that are going to be in November in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. And previous to that, we're welcoming all finalists of today to move on to the boot camp, the top selected finalists in the 3 stages. We're going to have a boot camp in October, and this is a virtual boot camp where the top EWC 100 will be selected. And the top 100 will receive as well 100,000 income package with services available on the platform. EWC wouldn't be possible without the leadership of our founding member, founding partner, the Miss Global Forum, and the participation now this year of the global host, Monchat. So we want to thank the global hosts as well, and our global strategic partners, One Bali, Tigalf, Kaus, and a collection of more others that have been able to make this initiative a reality. This year, I will say, after COVID, there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur. And I want to congratulate you for participating, those of you that win it, but it's also starting a journey and participating as an entrepreneur, leading the solutions in your countries. It's never been a better time. The global venture investment grew almost 92% from 2020 to 2021. It was 643 million that we had last year compared to 335 million of the year before. So opportunities for capital are there. At Gen, we have provided 10 million in grants for small and business enterprises. We're planning to disburse, thanks to our partners, Hello Alice, KKR, MasterCard. We're also planning to disburse 6 million more in capital accessible for small and medium enterprises available around the world. I want to invite you to follow us on social media, genglobal.org, because we do have many, many opportunities for you to take advantage of. In that note, I also want to say that we are inviting the top 100 that move on at the global level to the Gen Status Club. And the Gen Status Club is a community of founders because EWC is a one-year program. We don't finish now. As I said, this is just the beginning. And it's a one-year program where we also welcome the top 100 from all around the world selected to move and participate in these Gen Status Clubs, where we have opportunities for you to first connect with like-minded people like you, creating solutions, top startups from all around the world. So it's a peer community with plenty of opportunities. And one of the opportunities I want to share with you is getting visibility at the Global Entrepreneurship Week. I want to say and share with you that we're celebrating 15 years of the GEW. This is in November. And I want to make sure that you participate in the second week of November. We're going to be having a great number of celebrations, plenty of opportunities for all the startups to participate and get visibility there. And more importantly, we're also planning the Global Entrepreneurship Congress in Melbourne, Australia, next year, 2023, on May 1st to the 4th, when we want to welcome you all, but particularly those startups that have gone through the process through EWC, selected at the global level. We want to have you there. So on that note, I just want to say thank you all for making this event possible. And I invite you to participate in our multiple events where we want to make sure that the ecosystem and our community is right there for you to grow and succeed. Congrats again, and thank you, Jen, for inviting me to participate here.
Thank you so much for that inspiring speech, Ms. Maria. Next, we will invite Mr. Jaren Teo back to give an insight on what is to come next for the World Cup. Mr. Teo, please.
Right. Thank you, Anna, for making time all the way from the UK to come online with us. I would like to first and foremost really thank our sponsors and supporters, and would like to first invite one of our key co-organizers from HX, Miss Christabel Quack, on stage. Thank you, Christabel and HX. I would like to also invite our other board members who make time off to come all the way to support Gen Singapore as well as EWC Financial Finals today. I'd like to invite Dr. Lilian Koh. And last but not least, Mr. Jenshik Chu. Right. Like what they say, it takes a village to raise a child. Here we at Gen Singapore, it takes the entire startup ecosystem to help nurture future entrepreneurs, future employers, and also for Singapore economy to strive. And I would like to really thank all the various ecosystem partners, community partners have today. And what's next, as Anna Mera has mentioned, the top three are each of the national champions, idea stage, early stage, and growth stage will take on their journey for the global finals. And we hope they will achieve success and make Singapore proud. Right. And what's there for the other startups who weren't able to, make it through? This is our 4th year, and there are many more years to come. Do apply every single year. The only reason you can't apply is because you've won, right? As long as you have not won, please do try again. Never give up. Continue hustling. There's also another opportunity, and that comes from our partners with Enterprise Singapore. If you have heard of Slingshot program, it's happening end of the year. The closing, in fact, is this July 24th. So as part of the Singapore Week for Innovation and Technology, Slingshot is Enterprise Singapore Premier Startup Pitching Competition, returns to showcase global startups from 5 leading industry verticals. Slingshot also provides opportunities for startups to gain access to support from investors, industry leaders, and innovation-ready corporates. In 2022, Slingshot seeks to offer the top 50 global startups exclusive access to the Singapore's ecosystem through our inaugural physical immersion program. If you're a startup who are looking for immersion program, if you're watching online, please do apply. The Slingshot also calls for entries are open, the entries are open, and you are strongly encouraged to apply before the 24th of July. Right, so for startups who have not made it, local or overseas startups, please do apply and have a chance to come to Singapore for the immersion program. Another opportunity that came by for startups is definitely also one of our upcoming partner for Entrepreneurship World Cup ASEAN edition, Google Cloud. We have some of our partners in the Google Cloud t-shirt behind. Please do find them. They actually do have credits available for startup founders, right? So ranging from 2,000 all the way to 100,000. Lots of credits for you to use. To be very honest, I've gotten some of the credits until now for 2 years. I've not finished using them. So please, it's not about the number of credits you get. It's about what you do with it. Build something, create value for the world, right? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jaren. All right, now for the last thing that we need to do will be a very simple photo taking. So yes, no, yep. Okay, so we would like to invite the co-organizers, the judges,